Welcome. This meeting is now called to order. Thanks everybody for being here today. I want to take a moment at the beginning of our meeting to acknowledge that we've had some changes with the comment board. We have recently welcomed Mr. Unthank to the board, and we also have a new appointee from Richland County who is Roosevelt Barnwell. I don't think he can be with us today, but he will our appointee. Right. So with that, we will call the meeting to order.
Mr. Barnwell, Mr. Brennan,
Present.
Mr. Burgess,
Present.
Ms. Gleaton,
Present.
Ms. Herbert,
Present.
Representative Howard, Dr. Morris, Mr. Smith,
Here.
Mr. Racio,
Here.
Mr. Unthank, Mr. Walker, and I'll call advisory members, Mr. Kane, Mr. Green,
I'm here.
Mr. Jenkins, Mr. Kuhn, Ms. Robinson, Ms. Summers, and you have a quorum.
Thank you. And I will also acknowledge that Ms. Herbert said that she is out of town today and joining us remotely and may have to leave depending on how long we go. So we'll try to make our meeting efficient as per usual. So that'll bring us to item number 2, the adoption of our agenda. Oh, sorry.
Madam Chair, I didn't call Mr. Lawson, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Present.
Definitely don't want to forget that. Okay, so number 2 is the adoption of our agenda. Moved and properly seconded. Anything from staff in terms of changes, additions, modifications? Okay, and nothing from board members. All right, we'll take the take the vote to adopt the agenda.
Mr. Barnwell, Mr. Brennan.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Yes.
Ms. Gleaton.
Yes.
Ms. Herbert.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Dr. Morris.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Racio.
Yes.
Mr. Unthank.
Yes.
Mr. Walker. Motion carries.
That brings us to item 3, our consent calendar. 3A is approval of the March 27, 2024 board minutes that can be found on pages 3 through 6 of our packet. And 3B, the submission of the invoice check registers on pages 7 through 14. Is there a motion regarding the consent calendar?
So move.
I second it.
Moved and properly seconded. No discussion. I will take the vote to approve the consent calendar.
Mr. Barnwell, Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Yes.
Ms. Gleaton.
Yes.
Ms. Herbert.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Dr. Morris.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Racio.
Yes.
Mr. Unthank.
Yes.
Mr. Walker. Motion carries.
Thank you. That'll bring us to item 4, our Midlands Transit Riders Association update. Mr. Seymour, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I want to thank, first of all, I want to thank you again for letting me speak. I want to thank Mr. Cooksey and Ms. Yeah, sending me the information on the 501 and 701. That was very helpful. I happened to be downtown last week, and I did happen to notice something about the route, actually specifically the 501, but I'm sure it applies to the 701. When the bus is turned by Baptist Hospital, or the business, the Baptist business on Taylor and Sumter, you're going to need put a and the MTR, the Midlands Transit Riders and the riders on our page are requesting that you put a stop this, because if you, I mean, even if the best downtown is busy. I'm an able-bodied person. It's tough enough for me to cross the street. particularly during lunchtime, late in the afternoon. So we are requesting space, you can, put things on the corner right there. Since the buses have been moved, and through no fault of your own, I understand that it was a city, created thing, for municipalities. But because we have disabled, we have elderly, that is, so this is not just a convenience, but it's also a safety concern. So we would like you to, put a, stop right there on the corner of, I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking about.
I don't, I'm lost. And I'm ready for something.
Do you know where, they used to call it Baptist, but Baptist.
It stops down there by Taylor Street Pharmacy.
Okay. If you're coming off Taylor and you're turning onto Sumter from around, so it's on the corner of Taylor and Sumter. Okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
Okay.
so okay.
Can we do, since it's been just about 2 minutes, can we do a follow-up on that to clarify what the request is?
Blanding and Sumter.
Okay,
Well, where the Baptist hospital,
I know what that's.
it might be, I think it might be later. But it's the, where the Baptist hospital and on the corner of that, and you turn onto Sumter Street. Okay, because the buses can no longer be on the other side because of,
It's too crowded.
okay, huh?
It was too crowded, looked like it was. That's why someone started parking on that side.
Well, my understanding was that the city claimed that there were people that couldn't get in and out or something to that.
We'll get with you after the meeting and then we can get all that information.
But that's basically what we, that was our main issue. We're fine with everything else, but we do want,
Yeah.
especially with the elderly and more locally challenged people to be able to be safe.
thank you. Okay, thank you for that. That'll bring us up to item 5, the call to the public. Did anyone sign up to speak? No, okay, thank you. That will bring us to item 6, our discussion and action items. We have a special presentation that can be found on pages 15 through 20 of our packet. That's not,
There's no pages for the special.
okay. All right, so I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing. Okay, so the special presentation is me. I get the great honor to present Mr. Lawson with a proclamation of appreciation for his time. So we should probably come up front. Okay, great.
But we need to get this on.
And thank you. Okay, great.
What's it say?
Mr. Christopher Lawson.
Madam Chair, if you could step right here, so you're
So I'm
not
not
trying to
getting-
scream where people's names are on top of you.
Got it. Has been a dedicated board member of the Comet since 2020. We all remember 2020. It was a great year. He has served as a representative of Richland County on the Comet Board, so we're honored to have you as a Richland County. He has served with distinction as the chair of the Comet Safety and Security Ad Hoc Committee. Has invaluable expertise as an active duty member of the U.S. Army, and has been instrumental in guiding the Comet in making strategic database decisions. You have also played a vital role in the Comet's leadership and fiscal responsibility as the member of the Comet Finance Committee. And therefore, we, the Board of Directors, express our deepest gratitude to you for your 4 years of service and the community it serves. So thank you. Yeah, and we also have a little parting gift so that you will never forget us, ever.
I would just like to say thank you. It's been an experience and one that I would never forget, right? Coming in, there were a lot of things that I needed to kind of learn about the culture of boardsmanship. And I appreciate all of you guys for having patience, answering my 1,000,001 questions, the long talks, the long calls. So thank you.
And Madam Chairwoman, I just want to wish Mr. Lawson safe travels. We appreciate everything you do in your deployment. Wherever it takes you over the next year, we'll be thinking of it, sir.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would like
Yes.
to thank Mr. Lawson for his dedication to the Finance Committee. And I don't know what we would have done without him.
Thank you,
Because
sir.
he always made that third person that we needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is important, yeah. Thank you all, and we'd love to have engaged board members, and have been lucky to have everybody. Okay, so now that brings us to 6B, our fiscal year 24-25 proposed budget. That's on pages 15 through 20. Sorry, I got off a little bit there. Sorry, Ms. Andrews.
Good morning, everyone. I call your attention to page 15. 15 through 20 is the proposed fiscal year 24-25 budget. It's been presented to the Finance Committee. They gave approval to recommend to the board for approval. Hoping you guys have time to go over it in advance and ask some questions. But in total, this budget actually went down by almost 4% from fiscal year 24 to 25. That's largely due to, we don't see any large project coming on hand this year yet. But that's what mid-year budget adjustments are for. So I'm here to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Am I reading this right, Madam Chairwoman? What is the passenger fare revenue? Is it 162?
Can you give me a line item or a page?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's
Page 16.
yeah, page 16. Yeah. 8.
Oh, I see. Passenger revenue, the proposed annual budget, the approved budget, and the difference. So are we reading it right that we've had a 10% increase of fare, or we're experiencing 10% over what we expected?
That's what we're proposing, a 10% increase. So
Okay.
looking at everything we've taken in FY 24 at 1.6, if ridership continues to increase, based on where we were at the time I did this, we are seeing it should be about a 10% increase. So we use 6% as a baseline for everything, and then went line by line to adjust up or down from there as we saw.
Okay.
So roughly 1.8 million for passenger fares. And is that just on the bus? That's
Yes.
not any other? Okay,
That's on the
great. Thank you.
So that's good news. Okay, and I guess I'll ask a question, as it relates to, do we have the percentage of passenger fare, as compared to the total budget? So I think that's something that people are curious about, as to how much the passenger fare pays for in terms of our budget.
If you give me about 5 minutes, I can give you that number, but
Okay.
as of right now, no, I don't break it down.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a point of curiosity sometimes that people have. And a point that maybe a lot of members of the public don't understand, that the fare box does not pay the entirety of our budget. Yes.
We're about, so 40% of our revenue. Not mine.
40% of our revenue.
And 60% grants and government spending.
60% is the penny,
I mean, 6%.
or 61%.
Oh, that's not right. That's not right.
It's going to be under 10%, so it'll be about 5 to 7%, but Ms. Andrews will get
So the fare box revenue is about 4% of the budget.
4% of the budget.
Does that take in consideration of people to get high fare tickets too, right?
That's all ticket purchases, everything done through the
And
budget.
then we keep hearing that 40%, so 40% is penny is 60, 40% is fair plus government spending. Right? How are we using 40%?
40% is all other revenue sources. So it's a little over 60% comes from the penny, 40% would be
Oh,
from
over 60%. It's not 60.
Like 61.
around at 60, 61.
All right, right.
That is, however, the matrix of federal that can be based on population makes up probably a majority of the 40, right?
Is that and the other agreements that we have, contractual agreements, during revenue? Right.
And so if I could ask, I'll recognize myself to ask a question. And so then, the University of South Carolina would be part of the 40% as well.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions from the body? Comments, concerns, points of interest? Okay. I should entertain a motion to approve this as presented to us. Okay, thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion regarding our 24-25 budget? Yes. Ms. Herbert, do you have a question?
No.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure. Since you came off mute. All right, this might be the easiest budget I pass all year. Okay, we'll take the vote to approve budget.
Mr. Barnwell, Ms. Brennan,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Ms. Leeton,
Yes.
Ms. Herbert,
Yes.
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes.
Dr. Morris,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Racio,
Yes.
Mr. Unthank,
Yes.
Mr. Walker, motion carries.
Thank you. And as I understand, we will see any mid-year adjustments in about 6 months. Okay. Thank you. That will bring us to 6C, bylaws, Article 4, officers. Mr. Fergus, that can be found on page 21. You are recognized.
Passed this article in 2016, and it says that an officer can only be elected for 1 2-year term. I'm proposing a motion to have where an officer can serve the 2 consecutive terms, since these are voting positions. It's not that these are appointed positions. So if anybody else have a suggestion on that.
Thank you.
I have one I want to make an LBJ statement. I
Okay.
will not see, nor will I accept. Vice Chair.
Thank you. I see Attorney Heiser has her hand up.
Thank you. The bylaws have special provisions for notice that has to be given for an amendment to the bylaws. So if maybe the motion could be that you would like the bylaws to be amended to reflect Mr. Fergus's motion, and then we'll get the notice out and it would be officially voted upon at your next meeting.
Thank you. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. for that.
Attorney Heiser,
Yes, sir.
do we need a 2/3 vote to pass a change to the bylaw?
I don't think so, Dr. Morris. Unfortunately, I don't have them right in front of me, but what we can do, we will send out the proposed language ahead of time. And in that email or memo, we'll let you know if there's any special percentage that's needed. I don't believe there is, but we can let y'all know in advance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that question. Anything further on this? Okay, So I think we officially need the motion and the second in order to take a vote. Wait, sorry. Yes, we'll need a motion and a second to take the vote to bring it back for next. Is that right?
No, we don't need a motion to bring it back. She has it already.
She will have
She
it.
will bring it to us.
Okay, but we don't need to vote today.
I think we need to make a motion at this time to just.
Right. So we need the motion that we would like the bylaws to be amended to reflect this change. We vote that we are asking for the change, and then we would vote on the change. Is that correct?
No, I think it's, the motion today would be that, we're proposing a change to the bylaws, which we will, notice properly in accordance with the bylaws to be voted on officially at the next meeting.
Okay,
Someone could just say so moved to that.
okay. Moved, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Moved and properly seconded. We'll take the vote on the motion.
Mr. Bonwell, Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Burgess, Slayton,
Yes.
Ms. Herbert,
Yes.
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes.
Morris,
Abstain.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Racio,
Yes.
Mr. Unthank,
Yes.
Mr. Walker. Motion carries.
Thank you all, and we'll see this on our next meeting in June. Okay, so that brings us to 6D, our service update. Mr. Cooksey has a report, pages 22 through 35.
Yes, thank you. In 22 through 35. I do want to make sure I mention our employee of the month, Mr. Stanley Burrell, 33 years with the organization. He's a member of our local union, ATU 610, an elected board member. It's really a good partner for us and really helped in reference to focusing on safety initiatives. So again, want to congratulate him for being employee of the month. Speaking of safety initiatives, RATP Dev is preparing for a big summer safety campaign in June, and our location is one of the locations that'll be highlighted for all the work that we've done over the past year. So we're excited to be part of that from the organization. Also, we did see a slight decrease in our on-time performance for both fixed route and paratransit. Pretty challenging out there adjusting to detours, traffic, construction. So even with those challenges, the slight decrease was still, it wasn't as impactful as it could have been, but it did overall a good job of managing that. In the rest of my reports on 22 through 35, those pages, and I'm open for any questions.
Any questions regarding that? I guess I'll just ask a question. Now that the students are out of school, how does that adjust? How does that change ridership or service on campus or to campus?
Yeah, so I mean, definitely ridership will decrease for the summer months. We are running a limited schedule, limited revenue schedule there. So other than less ridership, you know, just for the summer months, there really isn't any impact. I mean, we've done it a couple of summers this go round. We are participating with the student orientation that starts next week. So we're a part of that. So, you know, we're gearing up for that.
So we'll teach the new students how to ride the bus.
That's part of it. I think that would definitely give a lot of them first time away from home. So they'll get a chance to ride transit and all the things that come along with that.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you. Anything further from the body? Thank you for that report. Oh, sorry, does that complete your report?
Yes.
Okay. So that brings us to 6E, our Lucius and River update. Mr. Pearl has oh, there's another page for that. Okay, thank you. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For Lucius and River update, we have reached out to a geotechnical firm. That firm has completed their report. They dug some wells, some small wells over there. at Lucas River and have come back with a report. Thank you. Have come back with a report, and that report is that there definitely is some water movement that it is going into the property coming off of the hill. And we are working with the vendor that had initially laid the concrete and the foundation for that property. So that is in the process. We originally had one concept that the firm wanted to do, and after consulting with the geotechnical firm, that has been modified, and that's going to be around the same cost so it'll be in addition to the cost of the original scope. And we signed off on that. That'll be progressing. So within the next couple of weeks, we'll see some movement over there, and some. It'll be a French drain that'll be dug along the perimeter of the property, going up River Road, all along the side where water drains down from the hill, and that is there's a lot of water movement on that side of the property, and then after a while, then it moves on under the concrete pad. So that's the goal, is to eliminate that issue right there. So once that is complete, then we'll need to a recommendation will be brought to the board as far as its future use and what we can utilize that property for. Benefit the community and
Madam Chair, that was my question.
Okay,
Are we working now towards something different rather than? So when I hear that French drain, I've heard the city engineer say that in my yard. So that's the quick fix.
yeah, so I would appreciate a little bit of a just definition. I've never heard, I don't know what a French drain is.
I am not well versed
Okay.
on
Let me tell you what it is.
Okay,
Mr. Burgess.
It's a container that the water runs in when you don't even know how much water is gonna run in it, and it runs in and supposed to contain it and runs off your property.
Yeah, it looks like a trench with a
Right.
pipe.
okay, so it's like a.
But it's green,
No,
No,
so you don't wanna get in.
Mr. Green, yes. Can you-
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes, so just as the definition of a French drain, it's usually basically gravel, and it's running the water away from the area. So, I mean, you would probably see more gravel, and so it's basically a plastic liner. It doesn't have to be a plastic liner, but it's basically a plastic liner with gravel inside of it, sloped to cause the water to drain away from the area that you want it to drain away from.
Okay, that's helpful. Dr. Morris.
And if that does not solve our problem, what would be our next step? Would it be legal?
We're already illegal, I think.
It is at legal, and once we complete this project, then we will review it for a couple of weeks, make sure that we do have some rainfall, and then ensure that that property is clear. Now, they still have the small wells over there, so they will be monitoring this. Once they put the French drain in, they will continue to monitor that. The geotechnical firm is working with the contractor to oversee or to ensure that this project is completed properly according to their recommendation.
Thank you. Dr. Morris, you have a follow-up?
Yes, Mr. Pearl, I'm glad to hear that, but I'm looking for maybe someone to be responsible for at least a couple of years. You said of 2 weeks.
And we will certainly address that issue. If this resolution does not work, then the board will be advised of our next steps.
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
So Director Pro, is all this work being done under the last change order amount of $30,000 that you reported on couple weeks ago?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there's no other change orders. It's all under this $30,000 figure.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions,
Madam
comments?
Chair, I have
Yes.
one question. Mr. Burrow can answer this. Since we know we're gonna scuttle these routes and all, when are we gonna start planning to do that? So we can get buses from downtown and all that and get routes, something similar.
So we have we've conducted a RFQ, request for quotation, from firms that can conduct that for us. We have received 2 quotes, and the notice to proceed was given to the most qualified, and the recommendation is for them. So they've been given a notice to proceed. So once they have been officially given the notice to proceed, then we will move forward with that and start progressing towards that. So they have a 3-month timeline from the notice to proceed. So we should see some results in August. And then once we receive the results, then we have to look at implementation period. So we would be looking at anywhere from 3 to 6 months.
Thank you. Is that helpful? Do you have a follow-up, Mr. Fergus? Okay.
I'm gonna throw another name, that same name out again, and request to use the assistance of somebody that developed all the routes we have in the city of Columbia.
Yes, sir.
You know, that worked here 43 years. These consultants come in and they're just like any other consultant. You give me the project, I consult on. Neighborhood knowledge, political knowledge, stuff like that, they absolutely know nothing about. They have to glean that from folks that are local. So when you have that knowledge that you can get cheap, I don't see why we won't use it. But then regardless of the expense of the consultant.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
Is it possible to put a citizen advisor to work with these consultants?
Mr. Brandon, are you kind of talking more like how we might think about a committee task force or something like that?
Just a local advocate that knows the history of the transit system in the Midlands that can possibly be of benefit to an out-of-town consultant. And I'm saying a volunteer position, of course.
Right.
Yeah, but somebody that would like to be a part of the growth of the transit system, that has a history and a knowledge.
I'm just trying to think through the mechanism for that. Would that look like some form of a subcommittee or something like that?
Same individual. It's been done elsewhere.
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Pearl, have you had, I'm sure you've had experience with something like this.
Yeah,
Okay.
so typically what we would do in a situation like that is, once they start delving into the research and the program itself and what they're looking at as far as the ridership, there's just a lot of in-depth information that they have to gather first. And then once they gather that, then periodically they can reach out to whomever and just get their input on what they're suggesting moving forward.
So to clarify, it would be like kind of a public engagement, but part of the process.
Sure, and we would have to do that anyway if we make significant modifications. That would have to go out to the public.
Okay. Is that helpful?
Yeah, and I'll defer to Director Pearl on how to use critical citizen, info
Okay.
through this process as you build that out.
Question.
Yes, Ms. Clee.
Can I ask Jackie? Jackie, I noticed where, I think it's 701 and maybe 501 across now street there. When they're loading, is that because it was too crowded on that other side, the opposite side? Okay. All right, that's what I thought was going on. But it's working good because the people, they at least they're listening to watch the lights so they try to cross. Because somebody almost got hit one day. I was downtown and hadn't been down that shop. But anyway, and it has really helped. I noticed that the people catch 501 and 701 because that 701 it takes you on out there to Walmart and go out Forest Drive. So I'm on that every other Tuesday because I got to get my hair shined.
If that concludes our Lucius and River discussion, I'll move us on to number 7, the motions period. I haven't been made aware of any motions. Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes.
is this the proper time to make a motion for the new budget?
Well, we just voted on the new budget. Yes. So I think we're okay. But if the finance committee has anything further on the budget, that's coming up on number 8. Okay, great. So that'll bring us to our progress reports. 1 minute per presenter. The chair report and executive committee update. I don't have a lot to report, but I will just report out from Richland County Council that discussions continue on a future penny. Particularly of interest to this body would be the dollar amount that would be included for the COMET going forward. And I think we'll hear more from Director Pearl on that. But just wanted to know that there's that my colleagues probably need some education. So if you get a chance to talk to my colleagues, help them understand what we do here at the COMET board and those kinds of things. And so that they will understand why this why our COMET needs to look to the next 25 years and see what growth we can expect in the county and what needs might need to be served. Okay, that will bring us to our committee chairs update. Service committee, Mr. Fergus.
We had nothing.
Okay. Thank you. And I appreciate Ms. Gleaton kind of giving a report about her report. And then B would be our finance committee updates. Dr. Morris, do you have anything further?
Well, the only thing I have is that we spent quite a bit of time discussing the budget, and then we were very, very pleased with it. And glad to know that we're saving quite a bit, and then happy to know that we're getting more federal funds. So we thank all those individuals who were, particularly Ms. Andrews, Branson, and also finance and the DBE. Dr. Prince.
Thank you. Yes, this is, like I said, the smoothest budget I'll do all year. So thank you all for that and for your work and for staff work. That brings us to C, the intermodal committee, which met just before this meeting. Mr. Brennan?
Yes, Madam Chairwoman, we will be bringing a recommendation for a review of a real estate contract to executive session.
Thank you. And then while we're on you, the Vision 2040 committee updates.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. About a week ago, Dr. Morris, Mr. Fergus, Director Pearl, and I presented the Vision 24 summary to the TPAC citizens, that's the Citizens Penny Committee, and got some great feedback on how to build off of that as we now move to educating county councils, city councils, and ultimately the voters of Richland County about the importance of COMET in the next 25 years of the programming and growth that we want to offer. Some of those highlights, multimodal transit center, a new hub for this wonderful transit system that we're putting together, increased frequency on existing main routes, enhanced air transit services, really building out our expanded and enhanced county services. That's a micro transit services approach. Really many systems within, for example, Lower Richland and Blythewood. And then really focusing on building ridership programs, through bolstering our quality of life and economic development growth. So our consultants have met with Director Pearl and the, Vision 24 committee, and they're putting together a broader presentation that they're going to come present to us. And we need to be great advocates and start really working with our elected officials, our community stakeholders, to really start telling that story. So that's where we're at now. we will probably be presenting to the county ad hoc transportation committee in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
So that's very vital for everybody to understand. Yes, it's a big number, but that number is being put into effective use to build our transit system. So that's where we're at right now. And I think Director Pro can comment when we get to his executive director report on anything else.
Thank you. And Mr. Brennan, we might have to change the name of that committee to Vision 2050.
All right.
I will also just say that as I've been having conversations, I'm not sure that people, your average person really understands, unless they've been in a city or in a place where they've experienced a multimodal kind of facility. I'm not sure that the general public really understands what that looks like and how it serves. So I would hope that as we're doing these presentations and moving forward, we're explaining to people, kind of like I didn't know what a French drain was. A lot of people won't know what a multimodal facility is, so we should need to have good explainers for that. Thank you. Does that conclude your report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So executive staff updates. Mr. Pearl.
Thank you, Madam Chair, to tag along with Board Member Brennan and his comments regarding our programs, and based on experience and past history of working at various transit systems, we look at what we can do that's most effective for the community, for ridership. How can we best benefit the community? And as Board Member Brennan had stated, the micro transit service. So we want to be able to connect communities. And in order to connect communities from Lower Richland all the way up to Blythewood, micro transit service in those communities, for starting in Lower Richland and progressing up, is going to be beneficial for the community as a whole. And that leads into the Richland County expanded service, being able to enhance that connectivity as well. Increased frequency on our highest ridership routes is going to produce additional ridership, and it is going to be more beneficial. So we're building up corridors in our community to better serve our community. And not only is this just for our ridership that it's a necessity for, but this is also for it's an add-on for businesses as well. So anybody that's in the community that potentially or that does own a business, or that has guests come into Columbia, our ridership, some of our ridership works in the restaurants and the hotels. So they are an essential service to the community, and in order for them to get to their jobs, this is how they get there. It's through public transportation. So even though they might not need it, their businesses, their guests, they need this service because they go out to eat. They take people out to eat, and they stay in hotels and whatever business.
Go to the hospital.
Hospitals, exactly. Yeah. So it's we're all cross-sectional in this in the community for public transportation. And then also with the different varying fare programs. So we're looking into that as well. So there's a lot of good things coming out of this, and a lot of good things that will happen with the renewal of the penny. And some of the things that we're basing this off of, our original ask or request was a 6% increase annually. And the committee meeting, it was suggested to go down to 4.5%. But just so the board is advised of some of the costs that are associated, and this is not in with fuel or with personnel costs. This is just coming from maintenance side. So the diesel exhaust fluid, or DEF sensor, was just a cut, and these are the first price that I'm going to state is just from 3 years ago. and then versus what it is now. So a DEF quality sensor assembly was $580. Recently, it's been ordered at $1,700, so that's a 98% increase. Now, some of what we have, it's not as significant, but it adds to what we have to procure and make. So oil has went from $11.28 to $13.04. So we're looking at almost a 15% increase. That's 15W. 5W is $10.12 up to $12.16. So we're almost a 20% increase. Automatic transmission fluid from $32.12 to $40.32. So we're almost at 23%. I'm not going to go through all of these, but highlight some of them. The crankcase filter was $96.41, now $187. 72, a 64% increase. The blower motor assembly, $2,178 up to $3,529, so almost a 50% increase. An engine, which is one of the more significant components, as well as the transmission on our vehicles. The engine was $30,909, which is now $57,423. That excludes labor to take it out and put a new one back in. So with labor included in this, it's over $70,000. So we do have some grants that we can utilize to offset that cost, but we still have a percent that we need to pay. So that percent is increasing also. So it's just a little bit of information for the board and why we're looking at what we're looking at as far as the increase. And then every couple of years, there's a labor agreement that the contractor has to work with. So that potentially will increase our overall budget as well.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a
Yes.
question for Mr. Pearl. Mr. Pearl, so that 6%, obviously, we're kind of reducing that down to 4.5%, right? That forecasted number that you're looking at, is that the bare bone minimum for kind of operational, daily operational costs?
That would be our minimum that we could go to ensure that we maintain our existing service level that we have right now, and then going forward, it will sustain our service levels appropriately.
So just hypothetically speaking, assuming that we don't get that 4.5% increase that we're asking for, do we have a contingency in case they only come back and say, hey, we're only going to give you 3%? What are we willing to cut out? Have we identified that?
We have not identified that. This is what our platform is right now, and then based off of what the actual percentage is, then we will have to back into that.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Madam Chairman, to Mr. Lawson's point, the road portion of the penny is completely separate from the comment. So in their minds, the 3% is just inflation for construction costs for the road capital improvement projects. Whereas we have much more detail and everything above and beyond that 3%. So that's an item that we also have to be sure that we really hammer home to the public. It costs a lot to run a transit system.
Anything further? Thank you for that. And for kind of giving us a real world vision of what we're actually paying for. That'll bring us to B, our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Andrews.
Hello again, and as always, the mundane work that is finance and IT is listed for you on page 115. Have any questions? I'm here to answer. In my report.
Thank you. Very important work. Any questions from the body? Okay. That will move us right on to our Civil Rights Officer, Dr. Prince.
Good afternoon. The regulatory compliance and DB reports are found on pages 116 through 121 of the board packet. One of the things I want to share with you is that I mentioned at the last board that FTA will be conducting their triennial review August 12th through the 14th of this year. And it will be a virtual review. one of the things that have occurred, I guess, over the past few weeks, they requested additional information, so we're kind of like working to pull all that information together, so they will have it once they review is, once they're ready for the review. And, so we'll be doing that over the next few weeks, trying to get all the information together. And I also want to share with you in terms of the DBE report, to give you an update. And that starts on page 118 of the board packet. As of March 31st, of the vendors we had paid with DBE goals, it was $76.9 million. And of that, DBEs received 19.2 or 24.9% of the monies. And on pages 120 through 121, it referenced our contractors and their payments to DBE firms. This is RATP Dale. And this goes back to July 1st, the beginning of the contracts, because it's a cumulative goal. As of the beginning of the contract up through March 31st, RATP Dale had paid $15.4 million DBE, which represent 21.8% of their goal, which is 20.06%. So they are within the goal amount and doing very well. And I will continue to monitor the information and ensure that we meet our DBE goal.
Thank you. Any questions or anything from the body? Thank you for that report. That will bring us to D, our Public Information Officer, Ms. Bonner-Reed.
Good morning, members of the board, staff, and guests. My report can be found on pages 122 to 130. There are some items that have been highlighted for special attention. And I also want to bring to your attention pages 125 to 130. We have started including our advertising buys in there, so you know what's running, what billboards are out, what newspapers advertising in, and what's being promoted out in the public. And this will be a part of my report every month. Make sure that you have a visual to go along with the budget and with the report that I give as well. And I'll entertain the questions. And if not, that concludes my report.
Thank you. I do have one question. I see in the upcoming events, we have a meet and greet with Director Pearl. I see that it's June, July. So I'm assuming that is not, we don't have a date set or a location set yet.
So we're partnering with the library, okay, to go to different parts. So contingent upon, I confirm that up probably by the next board meeting to know where we're going to be and, you know, in which areas.
Perfect. I'm sure board members would like to know, and I certainly would like to attend at least one.
Yes, Madam Chairman, that is to promote the penny, correct?
It's a combination. It's
Okay.
to introduce him to the community, let him talk about the vision for the comet, and to entertain any questions.
What page is that on?
Sorry, I just lost it.
That's highlighted.
It was highlighted on page 122 towards the bottom on upcoming events. Further? Thank you. That will bring us to 9, our executive session. 9A is a legal contractual personnel item relating to the proposed location expansion or provision of services, encouraging location expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by the public body. 9B is discussion of employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee, a student, or a person regulated by a public body. Thank you. Moved and seconded. We'll take the vote. Do I need to get a second first? Rodwell? Okay. Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. Burgess? Ms. Clayton?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Yes.
Senator Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Dr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Gracio?
Yes.
Dr. Unthank?
Yes.
Mr. Walker? Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you. We were in executive session for 2 items. No action was taken during executive session. Is there a motion to come out of executive session? Moved and properly seconded. We'll take the vote to come out of executive session.
Need a second of these. Okay. Mr. Barnwell, Mr. Brennan.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Yes.
Ms. Gleason.
Yes.
Mrs. Herbert.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Dr. Morris.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Tracio.
Yes.
Mr. Unthank.
Yes.
Councilman Walker. Motion carried.
Thank you. Is there a motion regarding 9A?
Raise my-
Okay, Ms. Heiser, can you help us out with the phrasing of a motion?
So the motion coming out of executive session would be that the board makes a motion to accept the recommendation of the intermodal subcommittee to take the following actions. One, to approve an amendment to an existing purchase and sale agreement. Number two, to approve the execution of 2 additional purchase and sale agreements for 2 additional pieces of property. And the third item would be to authorize the expenditure of funds for surveys of the 3 pieces of property that are the subject of the purchase and sale agreements.
Thank you. So moved, okay. That is moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that item? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Okay, Mr. Barnwell, Mr. Brennan.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Gleason. Ms. Herbert.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Dr. Morris.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Tracio.
Yes.
Mr. Unthank.
Yes.
Chairman Walker.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to 9B. Is there a motion regarding that item?
Yes, I move that we make no further payments on the previous mentioned employment contract.
A second.
Okay, moved and properly seconded. Any discussion regarding that one? Hearing and seeing none, we'll take the vote on that item.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Herbert.
Yes.
Mr. Howard. Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Dr. Morris.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Tracio.
Yes.
Mr. Unthank.
Yes.
Councilman Walker. Motion carries.
Thank you. That brings us to item 10. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much for your work
Aye.
today.